Hello, my name is Tony Lawrence, and today I'm here with Andy Hooper, a longtime resident of Paris. He was born here some years ago. I won't tell his age, but I'm lucky to go to church at First United Methodist of Paris with Andy, and I'm going to let him introduce himself. He told me, and there's several dates that he's got a memory sharp as a tack, so I'm going to let him introduce and give his bio. But today we're talking about our leadership legacy story. And he's a former mayor of Paris, vice mayor of Paris, very, very influential in the community. He doesn't like to think so, he downplays it, but he's very respected here in Paris, has lots and lots of friends. And right now I'm going to let him talk about his background as far as growing up here in West Tennessee and his job experiences for a minute, and then I'm going to ask him a couple of questions.
Thank you very much, Tony. As he said, I'm Andy Hooper, born and raised in Paris. Got out of college in 1965. Judy and I married, the former Judy Beasley, and I went to work immediately for Railway Express in Washington, D.C. Was there for 4 years. Was glad to get to move back to Tennessee. I was hopefully just any part of the state, but we actually come back to Paris in 1969. And I was a management trainee for Holly Carburetor. Supposed to be a 24-month tour, lasted only 7 months. And so I was looking for a job and went to work for ITT Kellogg in Milan, Tennessee for 1 full month before the Eastwood Clinic job opened up, as they were expanding and they needed a clinic manager. So I was there nearly 30 years, and when they sold out in 1998, I guess it was, I went to work for the Jackson-Madison County General Hospital, actually retired there. So, and I was in politics from 1981, 12 years to 1993, served as vice mayor and the mayor. I was mayor for 4 years, 87 to 91, so it's been a long time.
I asked Andy initially about his experiences as a politician in Paris, and I'm going to ask him again for the camera and for the audience, but what's one of the most memorable experiences that you've had during your career as mayor of Paris that probably had the biggest influence on the community as a whole right now?
Tony, there would be two. When I was mayor, we talked in long-range plans at one point, and as I mentioned earlier, there was a chamber banquet, and we had a mayor from a city in Kentucky that was talking about think big. And doing our long-range planning, we could see a large amount of property that was open. Marshfield Drive, I believe it was called, from Mahan forward, went down to the park and stopped, and there was a 400 acres that was untouched in the area between there and Lone Oak. So we talked about extending the street from Marshfield Drive to Lone Oak, and then we got to thinking how nice it'd be to have it go all the way to Eastwood. We could relieve the traffic coming down Mineral Wells, and it would be a safety factor because Mineral Wells was just really backing up. So we started that project. We run into quite a bit of controversy from the mobile home park off of Lone Oak. They had a large area that was a softball field, and we were wanting to take the road right through the middle of that. I even had a letter from Congressman Ed Jones suggesting that he had found some alternatives for us that we could keep his constituents happy over in the park. But we decided to proceed with the project. It was nearly a $2 million project, about 1.5 miles of road, open to 400 acres. And as I had mentioned to you, 9 years later, I noticed the PI had a note that that land had opened up approximately $7 million worth of property, not counting the Paris Elementary School that's not on the tax rolls. But then the other thing, there was one more thing. I was not the mayor, but in '86, I believe it was, and we opened that road in November 12th, 1990. In '86, Paris did not have a dog leash law, we call it now. Animal control at large or something like that was a discussion. you could not walk the streets, you could not exercise in your neighborhood because of the neighbors' dogs. I had one lady point out to me that she couldn't even plant flowers in her yard without dogs digging it up and so forth. So we passed that law in '86. Matter of fact, I tried to get cats added to it, but was unsuccessful in that part. But that was the two things that I think that during my tenure with the city commission that was good for the city of Paris.
Things such as the volunteer drive that is currently where my facility is, the Paris Civic Center, attached with Paris Elementary, numerous very nice houses in the area that are right on Volunteer Drive, subdivisions after subdivisions, businesses, banks, Lowe's, more businesses than you can shake a stick at are just fruits of the labor of these hard choices that were made back many years ago, like the Volunteer Drive. So these are all wonderful experiences. And I know that we're supposed to do a 10-minute video, and I think you said you had a funny story that we might appreciate. So if you want to elaborate on that.
I'll try. It was funny at the time. I'm not sure how funny it'll be now, but years ago, our Methodist church here did not have a Christmas Eve service. My family, as a routine, went to the Christian church across the street on Christmas Eve. My daughter Donna has a real good friend, and good friend of our family, Beverly Van Dyke. She always sang every Christmas. She'd come in from college and so forth, and really did an excellent job. So this particular Christmas Eve, you know, they always had, at the end of the service, turn the lights out, play Holy Night with the candles and so forth. Well, this particular night, I got my candle. You know, they always have a little paper that is inserted in to catch the wax. Well, this candle should have not passed quality control because the wick was an extra inch or two long. Well, as soon as they lit it, and we were standing up, well, the wick burning fell up to the floor with a pretty good sized flame, and I'm stomping the thing, trying to get it out and try not to make too much racket at the same time because Don and Steve were just laughing, almost uncontrollable. And if that wasn't bad enough, then I looked, and as I leaned over, I poured the paraffin on top of the paper into the lady's coat on the pew in front of me. So we still talk about that, and we still think that if we could had a video of that, I might have won some money back a long time ago.
Absolutely, those Christmas Eve services with two young boys are also memorable with the flame, an open flame in the church. But that's a little nicer than my story that I have to tell about the church, and I won't go into that. My classmates know all about that. So once again, thank you very much, Andy Hooper, longtime resident and worker of Paris, born here, mostly raised here, big UT fan, member of the First Methodist Church. Proud to have him as my friend. His wife was my boys taught them in the nursery and church here. Known him for as long as I've been here almost, and just glad to have him as a friend. Thank you very much. Good evening.